indulged on that break time. Welcome back. We are at the third day of the World Jump Rope Championships in Braga, Portugal, which is just spectacular. For those of you who have not had the joy of visiting, I highly recommend it. It's a spectacular place. We are currently on the single rope pairs event, and that was the end of our first heat. Before I get into single rope pairs, I just wanted to say I loved that last rope release, even though it didn't go exactly as they had planned. It was really cool. Okay, so for those of you who are joining the jump rope conversation for the first time, I'm going to really, really briefly go into the really basic explanation of single rope pairs. So single rope pairs freestyle is two jumpers side by side, or sometimes not side by side, but jumping ideally in synchronization with one another, so doing the same skills at the same time. And they are doing a freestyle routine. Freestyle means that the jumpers get to create the routines. If they want to do push-up or a handstand, they can do that. If they want to do crisscrosses, they can do that. If they want to do a double backflip while releasing and catching the rope, and they're able to do that, then they can also do that. So one of the many unique things about jump rope is how creative the jumpers are allowed to be. And I say that the more jumpers you add to an event, the more creative these routines will be, which is why as we add jumpers, it's going to get a lot better. It's just going to get more fun, more exciting to watch. Single rope pairs is personally one of my favorite events, with great thanks to my partner, Mary Hunter Benton. She was on the live feed yesterday, and I can tell you that having a long-term partner that you really feel like you're in complete sync with definitely makes your experience, and I'm sure there are a lot of jumpers out there today that would agree with that, and you'll be able to see it in their jumping. Wow. Okay, so I'm guessing that these two are twins, because that are sisters that look incredibly alike, and it's so cool to see. Wow. We've had other sets of twins jump together before in the past. Wait, these people aren't twins, are they? No, okay. I was going to say, I'm like in twin mode now. But it's really cool to watch twins jump together because the synchronization just looks that much more realistic. It really looks like they kind of just doubled the person and put them next to each other, which is ideally what you want your pairs partner to look like. Special shout out to Joseph Edney and Ted Lehman, who are a several-time Grand National Champion single rope pairs team who could jump together forever. They actually dyed their hair blonde, both of them. They bleached their hair in the peak of those awesome high school years to look the same, and it paid off because that was actually one of the years they won the Grand National Championship. So even looking alike pays off, and it really does for this crew right here that just finished. So some of the things that judges look for in single rope pairs, I at some point will definitely go over the elements of jump rope that I went over before. I want to make sure that we catch up everybody who's just tuning in on what these jumpers are being scored on. But I'll start with what makes single rope pairs unique to the other events. The things that judges are looking for in single rope pairs that they can't look for in the other events are primarily partner interaction. When I say partner interaction, what I mean is how do the two jumpers acknowledge each other on the floor? To me, a perfect routine, an ideal routine, is one in which when the jumpers are side by side, they look like the same jumper. And when the jumpers are interacting, the entire routine is kind of built on this foundation of what can we do to use the fact that we have each other here. So I will start to point out some examples of both beautiful synchronization and also partner interaction, but just some short examples that I can kind of explain for you. Any sort of assisted flip, meaning if one jumper holds the leg of the other partner and then pushes them upward and they do a flip, that would be partner interaction. Anytime one jumper holds their rope and the other jumper either goes behind them or in front of them and turns the rope over the two of them at the same time, that's partner interaction. Some beautiful partner interaction on one side right here. You can't see it. And as we talked about yesterday with a lot of the younger ones, as you add jumpers, there is a lot more room for creativity, and it's definitely more fun to watch, but there's also a lot more room for misses. So I'm sure you will notice that as the events go on, there will be more and more mistakes, and that is something that we're definitely looking at. Oh, see, that is really cool partner interaction. That's the epitome of partner interaction. From the Montana Super Skippers, a really wonderful pair. I've competed against Erin Williams several times. She's a really awesome jumper. Really just another group of people who are not only excited about jump rope, but innovative and hardworking, and really exemplify, especially in the world of female jump rope, how to be powerful, creative, and still maintain that in the good form. Oh, very cute ending too. That was a great routine. Really awesome. I'm really impressed with the way that female pairs has really come about. Back in my first years of competing, there was no gender division, and if we're being honest, I think that's the way it should be. I don't like separating the females from the males because I still think that sets up some distinction that maybe males will always be better, and I think that if we hold females to a different standard than males, then they're not going to live up to them. And if we hold everyone to the same standard, then these females will really surprise us, kind of like that last group. But I'm really impressed with the way female competition has progressed. In the past, it's definitely been a lot of really, with no offense, easy routines, like really beautiful and pretty and very synchronized, but just technically very easy. And it's so cool to, as someone who jumped as a part of a female pair, see all this power coming out. Seeing these females really get confident in what they have to show and put it out on the floor, that's what this is all about. You notice a lot of the jumpers have things written on either their arms or their legs. For those of you outside of the jump rope community, it's been a really difficult year for us. We lost 5 really young jumpers this year, and it's definitely been really hard on a lot of us. I can feel for all the teams that lost team members, but I mean, as a jump rope community, we all really feel this loss, and a lot of teams have written the first name of each person we lost this year, and on them as kind of like a "I'm jumping for you" kind of deal. And you'll see, we've shown a couple of times, and we will definitely show again today, like a very short tribute that we've made to them. Just because the way that these 5 jumpers have impacted their jump rope community will absolutely never be forgotten. And if I can tell you I've learned one thing from all of this, it's that just how much life is about what you give and not what you get. And seeing how much these jumpers have given, they're very much in some way in this room with us today. Each one of them has given tricks, given smiles, given all of these things, whatever it may be, depending on how close you were. And seeing them really like spread their legacy throughout this gym just shows the real power of giving. So this is a really creative thing they're doing right here. One of them starting forwards and one of them starting backwards. I think that's such a cool way to start a routine or go into a routine. To the eye, the ropes are actually moving in the same way. Not in the same way. They are moving the same direction, simply just the jumpers are facing different ways, and I think that's aesthetically really cool. It also shows a lot of athleticism on the part of the jumpers. We have an old saying in jump rope that anything you can do forward, you can do backward. When you're teaching tricks to kids and they say, "Oh, I can do that," when you got a kid like maybe a young Erica Zen, who will, say, oh, I can already do that. Well, whatever. We always tell them, can you do it backwards? Can you do it to this side? Can you do it to that side? So being able to show off the partner's abilities to do some of these really tough skills, both forward and backward, definitely shows some athleticism. Okay, this next heat we have 72. We have from the Association of Portuguese Rope Skipping, Erica and Joao. We have from the Hot Shots Australia, Sarah and Olivia. We have from the Kerry Super Skippers, Cameron and Cynthia. Oh, excuse me, I'm so sorry. That was the heat that just went. And they were awesome, and I apologize, I am one off. We have heat 73. I stand corrected. In Station 1, Hong Kong team, Kwan Ho and Wing Yi. From the Lincoln Leapers, we have Taylor and Sydney. From Station 3, we have Gymnastics Ganserndorf. We have Laura and Hannah, who look like sisters or cousins with the same last name. I'm guessing sisters, which will be awesome to watch. And in Station 4, we have from the Skip Stations, Julia and Allison.
Just a moment ago, Erica, you were talking about the importance of being able to do tricks on both sides of your body. So a trick on the right and on the left, both forward and backwards. It's so important that, when you're put together on a team, some people come to that team with different abilities and skills. And so the more skills and abilities you have, the better team partner you're going to be. If one jumper can only do it on one side and the other one can only do it on the other side, it's going to be really hard to create an excellent routine from that.
That's a great point, Sarah. And just for all of you non-jump ropers or parents or people who are new to jump rope, kind of like you have a dominant hand when you write. It's very common for jumpers to have a dominant hand with their tricks, or a dominant side. I consider myself to be a bit of an anomaly because I'm gymnastically left trained and everything else right trained. But I know that at least when I started jumping with my partner Mary, we found that we did all of our tricks to different sides. So through my partnership with her, I have now learned to do all of my tricks on both sides, because in order to jump with her, I had to accommodate to that. And that's Sarah made a great point. That's really a part of, on some level, being a good group member. But those are the kind of details that these jumpers are thinking about that you don't even see. That when they're, for example, doing a trick that we call an EK, where they're turning in a full circle, 360-degree circle, and they're doing a triple under. They have to figure out which side, and you'll see, especially with four-person freestyle, they have to find either a side that all four of them can agree upon, or find a really artistic way to go to two different sides. And every little detail of these routines is planned out. I really can't stress that enough, especially when you get to these older jumpers. Pretty much nothing happens by accident.
Absolutely. I'm trying to make an analogy, and the way that I think about it is, a lot of people have tried a cartwheel in the past, and there's typically a better way that they can do a cartwheel. For example, I put my right hand down first. Some people may put their left hand down first.
Like me.
But if I put my left hand down first, my cartwheel doesn't look nearly as nice. And so it's almost like, these athletes are trying to do gymnastics on both sides in different routines depending on who they're jumping with. So it's a highly impressive thing to look at.
And as a younger jumper, for those of you who are out there who are, kind of towards the beginning of your jump rope careers, or, have had long, fruitful jump rope careers but are still young, I actually highly recommend taking the time to learn how to do things on the other side. When it comes to working in groups, learning group routines, trying out for different parts, it will always benefit you to be able to do things to both sides, and it's a skill that's very highly underrated in the sport. I think being able to perform skills on both sides.
Absolutely. And also, when you're doing a performance for non-jump ropers, oftentimes it's nice to do the same skill several times, and instead of doing it on the same side every time, doing it on multiple sides. Like a quad cross or matador or something like that. Doing it one side then the other side.
What's a matador?
Oh, good question. So it's a side swing, so a swing on one side, and then you go directly into a front cross, and then you can add, multiple unders with that if you like. Oftentimes people do it in a triple or a quad here at this competition. But being able to do it on both sides really demonstrates your professionalism as a jumper, and I think it allows the audiences to better understand what you're actually trying to do out there on the floor for those people who are new to the sport of jump rope. Speaking of performing for audiences, a big shout out to Zev Troxler, who is watching from home. He's a notorious performer and has done circus acts over the last number of years, and is definitely a jumper to watch on YouTube. Actually, I had a really interesting conversation with Zev a couple of years ago about the importance of handstands and some different ways you can train handstands to be a better jumper. And shout out to Zev Troxler for being a handstand champion.
I like the way that sounds, handstand champ.
I've actually often thought that it would be neat to have some competitions between clubs on non-jump rope related things. So, for example, like who can do the longest handstand? It's a competition between jumpers, but it's not about jumping. It's about how long your handstand can be.
All right, well, here's the question. If we're going to have a handstand contest, can you walk?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Oh, then that competition will last way too long.
Oh, no, that'd be great, though.
If you, and from my very, 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 very short gymnastics career, I can tell you in the gymnastics world, when you do a handstand contest, you're not allowed to walk. That's what makes it difficult.
Ah, cool.
And I think it's probably important to note that the reason my gymnastics career was so short was because I functionally can't point my toes. So coaches at a really young age were like, it's great that you like gymnastics and all, but try something with shoes.
Very cool.
And here I am.
Very cool. I'm thinking even more so for the developmental ages for handstands, so that everyone, enters age 12 with extraordinary handstands and body control.
When it comes to this kind of stuff, it's hard not to think of Nick Woodard. He's always been a huge proponent of teaching handstands. Pretty much every workshop I've ever gotten to sit through or teach at, when he has been up at the front, he has done a whole segment on handstands, and I know the Hot Dogs definitely spend a lot of time focusing on their gymnastics from a sustainability position, but also from like a how can we make our tricks better by making our gymnastics better.
Absolutely. So Joanna, what is some of the unique things about pairs freestyle that's unique from singles freestyle?
The interactions between the jumpers, I think that's the most common things that you usually don't see in single freestyle, because in single freestyle it's only one jumper. So I think that in the pairs freestyle and also in the team freestyle we will see a lot of interactions because there are scored too. So I think that's one of the most interesting things that you can see in team freestyle and pairs freestyle. And also, you can also see very creative ones.
Sarah, will you tell us a little bit about uniforms and how the discrepancy in uniforms plays out in the presentation aspect of judging? Are there certain things that judges are looking for or not looking for? In your country, maybe. How about in Canada? And I can elaborate at least from the U.S.
All right. Well, uniforms really need to be allowing the jumper to perform well, not get in the way, but also present the jumper in a way that is very professional. So in other words, one thing that often tends to happen is shirts tend to be untucked from the shorts. And because we do a lot of gymnastics type skills in this sport, oftentimes we see a little bit of midriff happening. And judges typically do not like to see that happen. They like to see shirts tucked in, athletes in a comfortable suit that allows them to really present the jumping and not necessarily the bodies themselves.
Thank you. I think this is actually something really important for the jumpers out there to hear, because I think it's kind of a forgotten part of your scoring, and it's really easy, especially like as a girl, kind of through your like teen years or whatever, to like make the focus on looking pretty, looking cute.
Yeah.
But it's actually not like some judges don't like. It is a requirement of judges that if they are distracted by the way you look, meaning if they can see a lot of skin, or if your shorts are rolled and that's distracting to them, they're required to take points off. And that's something that will absolutely affect your score. And I think there's just nothing more sad than spending your whole year working on a routine and getting out there and doing it amazingly and suffering because of your clothing. Like, that just seems so silly to me. So I think it's really important that we talk about it and that people really know that looking professional is absolutely a part of your score in every single way. And when you go to competition, it's really important to be aware of how you present yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. And professional doesn't mean flashy. It can be very.
It actually means normally pretty much the opposite.
Yeah, being very simply professionally dressed. And I mean, the other thing that goes along with that is the hair for females. Or for males if they have longer hairstyles, because oftentimes if girls have their hair in a very loose pony or something like this, or pulled back loosely, it's going to bounce up and actually hit the rope itself and cause more misses.
It's also just distracting. I mean, you're watching someone whose hair is flying around everywhere, and honestly, like, maybe it's just because like I'm always worried my hair is gonna fall, and I'm just like, oh my god, I feel the stress of that person's ponytail. Like, is it gonna fall out? What's gonna happen with it? And that really distracts me. Maybe that's just me.
For sure.
from being able to watch the routine at hand.
Or if it falls out and it lies in front of your face, then the judges can't actually see your expression. So the braids that you see these athletes wearing it's fashionable, but even more so, it's just functional.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you really think the braids are fashionable?
Yes.
I'm a little lost for words. I'm going to be really upfront and say I'm not judging you. There's no judgment in finding the braids fashionable. I am a little interested to hear more about what your fashion sense is. Give me more.
Are you a braid judge?
I don't know. All I know is that every time there are braids in my hair, I lose like 10 years of my age. So like I'm 23 right now, and like when I have braids in my hair, I had one year a couple years ago where I was flying with the team and was dressed in a Bulldog uniform, and shout out to the OG t-shirt and shorts that the Bulldogs always rock. Really, really flattering stuff. But like with the French braids, I had 4 different times in 1 year had flight attendants come up to me and tell me I couldn't sit in the emergency exit section because I was not older than 13. This happened at age 19. So, listen, the braids are for some. They look beautiful on some. I'm not going to claim to be one of those people.
Okay, fair enough. A couple of years ago, I was at a competition, and some new parents to the sport in Canada, we were having a conversation, and then, about 3 minutes into the conversation, they just sort of paused and said, "You're not in high school, are you?" I said, "No."
It's really uncomfortable.
I'm in my 30s.
That makes me feel better that it doesn't just happen to me, at least. Really quickly, I want to turn to the floor. I apologize. We get distracted. We're having a good time up here. There are a lot of awesome routines going on right now. I want to pretty notably point to Dylan and Ridge from Comet Skippers, 2 really awesome jumpers, and they're putting on a really impressive, and for both of them, reasonable performance. And I don't mean reasonable as like they're usually not reasonable. I just mean that like they're actually doing a lot of tricks that looks like they can do, which, again, I think a lot of boys their age, with the strength and abilities they have, tend to kind of overdo it in competition. Well, you hate to see an ending go badly after a routine that beautiful, but I'm sure it won't impact them much after the kind of tricks that they just pulled.
Mm-hmm. Big shout out to Jeremy Lindstrom, who's following us along, former commentator here on the World Jump Rope live stream, and he actually points out that Zev Troxler's mom, Zev is the gentleman we were talking about handstands earlier. His mom actually schools him in handstands. So
big shout out to Zev's mom.
Interesting fact.
You go, Miss Troxler.
And I understand the team name from his childhood was Jumping for Joy, which
yes,
Joy is his mom's name. I think. Please correct me if I'm incorrect on that.
I know that Joy's the coach.
Oh, Joy's coach. My apologies.
It's okay. Jumping for Joy out of Santa Clara, California, has a really impressive history. I actually had the pleasure of competing against an older generation of Jumping for Joy girls through all of my world competitions, and just like a really exciting group of jumpers who my absolute favorite that I could absolutely never forget is their team shows. They had group shows that they put on to very Pirates of the Caribbean-esque music that were so graceful and so beautiful. Also from Jumping for Joy, some names that I haven't heard in a while, and I don't even know if you guys know. Encore and Veon Ball and Michelle Fonkson were real pioneers in the sport, and people who I really looked up to as a kid. And shout out to them if they get to hear this. Just want you to know how much you made an impact on me personally and on so many of us. Seriously.
Zev says, shush, that's not true. Thanks, Zev. Yeah, actually, Michelle Fonkson, I don't know her really personally at all, but I've definitely admired her from afar on the wonderful world of the internet and the world of jump rope on the internet. So big shout out to Michelle Fonkson. I'm a huge fan of yours.
A whole new aspect of the internet is the jump rope internet. They should create their own internet for the jump rope internet. We always joked on jump rope trips that we wish they would create a jump rope island, because it just seems so unfair that we got to, all go hang out on all these trips and see each other, but then have to go back to our lives of living in different places. So maybe upon the invention of Jump Rope Island, where we could all live and jump rope happily ever after, we could also have the jump rope internet.
Well, Australia is an island, so maybe we should just take over that little place and have a whole continent of jumpers.
Doesn't sound like a bad idea to me.
Though really, we do want jumpers around the world, so we can encourage everyone to come along and join us for the ride. Mm-hmm. Jump on the bus. Literally.
Stop it, Sarah. Stop it.
Just as a reminder, there are 3 commentators here for the World Jump Rope Championships for the full 5 days. My name is Sarah Dabrowski. I'm a Canadian, and this is my 4th year commentating for the World Jump Rope Championships.
Hi, I'm Joanna. I'm from Portugal. This is my first here commentating, and I'm loving it, and I'm learning a lot with these two, Sarah and Erica. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Erica Zen. This is my first year commentating. I was a jumper for 17 years, and if you heard Sarah mention what a matador is before, and you saw my confusion, you might guess that I am actually an American, and so that's just a very foreign concept to me, but thank you for explaining that. For those of you who are just tuning in, one of the fun things about jump rope and just kind of how international it truly is that jumpers from all over the world have very different names for the tricks, and it honestly, it's kind of funny. It ranges like very close, like even in, for example, I grew up on the Bouncing Bulldogs. We're from Chapel Hill, North Carolina. Out on the floor right now, we have the Skip Stations, who are also from Chapel Hill, North Carolina, and we have the Cary Super Skippers, who are from Cary, North Carolina, which is 20 minutes away. And our 3 teams have 3 different sets of names for tricks, and we are all right down the road from each other. Talk about really cool partner interaction with this Super Skipper team right here. That was Graham Booth and Matthew Russell. Really impressive routine. 2 well-established jumpers that we've kind of gotten the real pleasure of watching throughout this competition. Some really cool partner interaction, really nice routine.
Just to give you a bit of a heads up as to what's going to be happening this afternoon, we have a ton of awesome interviews coming your way. This is the list that we have at the moment. So we have Kaylee Couvion, Adrian Benheji, Vivian Vida, Shane Windsor, Peter Nessler, and Mike Fry. Wow.
I would call that the all-star lineup right there. If there's someone else that you would love to hear from, someone that we talked about this on the first day, but someone who really made a difference in your jump rope career that you think other people would really like to hear their story, let us know. We're so pumped to get out there and get people involved in this live stream. You just help us make that happen. Back on the floor, this is Heat 80. We have in Station 1, Hot Dog USA, Hamisi and Zach. Definitely two that, to say they're worth watching is probably not doing them nearly enough justice.
Yeah.
One of the most amazing pairs there really is out there right now. In Station 2, we have, excuse me, I might butcher this, TV Unterboyhingen. We have Lily and Alexa. On Station 3, Team Termix, Nora and Blanca. And Station 4, Jump Company USA, Mary and Jillian.
Jeremy just pointed out a short while ago that, you can watch the replay over and over and over again. So if there was a piece of this competition that you loved, you can watch it as many times as you want. Check out the replay option on the World Jump Rope website following each day, because each of the days of competition are going to be posted as a YouTube video.
Sorry, got a little wrapped up in that routine.
Yeah.
Excuse my puns, but...
Rap like R-A-P or rap like W-R-A-P?
We're going for the W tortilla wrap again.
It's a pretty cheesy rap, actually. There's a lot of cheese happening up here right now.
You talking about a cheesy gordita crunch from Taco Bell?
Yes. I don't know, Taco Bell's not as popular in Canada, really. We have KFCs, but even then, I guess I haven't visited one in a really long time.